So what do you get when you mix giant robots, martial arts, and a huge fighting tournament? Gundam, the show with a terrible English dub.
You may have those silver feet, but I've got these gold fingers!
And a very strange representation of Gundam as we know it. More specifically, today we're taking a look at the Master Grade Shining Gundam. If you stick around to the end, I'll be giving away one of these kits, and you can see for yourself how good it is. So this kit came out in 2002, but it's still probably the oldest kit in my collection. And with that being said, there's a lot of differences that I noticed that are pretty interesting to see when comparing the old Master Grades to today's current Master Grades. For example, this kit pretty much has an entirely complete inner frame, not complete in the sense of like a PG or the MG Barbatos, but when you remove the armor, it still has a pretty decent looking frame underneath. Another interesting thing about this kit is it does use screws. These screws are used to hold some of the joints together, and because of that, the joints are pretty solid and pretty posable. I remember seeing before in some manuals for other Gundam kits where it has a warning not to over tighten the screws, and I never really knew what it was talking about. But after building this kit, I totally understand because I accidentally over tightened one, but it wasn't too big a deal. The kit still functions pretty well even though that one screw is over tightened. And another thing interesting about this kit we'll go over later when we talk about the extra parts, but it has to do with the material used for the hands and some of the extra parts. So overall, this was a pretty easy build to do. It's an older kit, so it's going to be pretty simple to do. I feel like Bandai's technology wasn't really that complex back then, so the kits weren't that complex. You could definitely get it done in under a day if you're working hard at it, or probably even a few hours if you're working quick. So the color separation with this kit is pretty okay. I mean, the colors are nice. However, it does use a few stickers for some key places, like the black lining against the waist armor as well as the ankle armor. We've got stickers for the eyes, of course, and as well as stickers for the camera. One place that we don't have stickers for, which is pretty unfortunate, is here on the core lander. There are these two circles that should be colored yellow. Unfortunately, Bandai doesn't give us any stickers to give those a yellow color, so for that you'll have to paint it yourself. Speaking of the core lander, we have our pilot Doman Cash sitting inside it already. He's actually molded into the part, so if you did want to paint it, that would be a little challenging, but at least there's still a little bit of detail in there. And going back to the stickers, the chest piece is actually a foil sticker with sort of like a gel dome on top, a green gel dome. It actually looks pretty nice, but one major flaw is it doesn't really sit flush in the chest cavity. So you can press it in and it'll be fine, but eventually it will pop out of the socket a little bit. Going over the overall build quality for this kit, like I said, with the screws at the joints are very secure. They keep their pose pretty well. The armor is pretty secure. I can give it a little shake here and you'll notice that there's not really any rattle. There's a little bit, but not really, and nothing falls off, which is a good thing. One thing I did notice when building the kit is the plastic is a little more brittle than what we're used to in today's current Master Grade kits. I found this out the hard way by accidentally snapping one of the parts. I actually don't remember which part it was. I just remember I did snap one off, but I don't remember ever needing to use cement to fix it. So I mean, the kit from the outside looks fine. I can't really tell where that part could have been. Regarding the weapons for this kit, there are only two. Those would be the two different beam swords. We have a short beam sword and we have a long handle beam sword, which also has a longer beam saber effect part. So the cockpit for this kit, I'm taking a look at it now. It doesn't really stay on the hinge that well. So at this point, I don't really know if the cockpit's supposed to open or you're supposed to just focus on the core lander here. Okay, so before we go over articulation, I actually wanted to talk a little bit about the transformation that this kit has. So there's not much that changes when this kit transforms into super mode, but it's still worth noting. First off, here on the shoulders, these slide up to reveal the gold underneath, while the bare plastic is yellow, and the armor on the arms slightly bend out just like that. In terms of the leg, these armor pieces on the calves will open up, just like so, and it reveals some thrusters underneath. Of course, we have these on both sides of the figure, and at the head is where it gets interesting. So on the face mask, you can see a line straight down the middle. That's typically where the mask would open up and reveal the red face underneath, as we can see on the box here. However, this does not actually open up. It's actually a parts forming transformation for the head. So what you do is you take off the mask. It shows the face like so. And we have these two additional pieces you get to attach on either side of the face. And then for the remainder of the head, we can flip out these fins. And there we go, the full Shining Gundam transformation to super mode. It is worth noting that I didn't even realize that these slid down on the shoulders. These are actually pretty loose here. You might be able to tighten it up with some super glue, but I haven't gotten around to that yet. And let's go ahead and close everything back on up and get talking about articulation. So starting with the head, we get probably about a 90-degree turn each direction. The neck and the head are on separate joints, but this is about the extent of it looking down and up. At the chest, we don't really see any movement here. We do get some side-to-side hip motion. The center of the chest here does push in a bit. I think that's its way of mimicking what it would look like when the core lander is not docked. With the arms, we do get a full 360-degree turn. While I'm here, it is worth noting that the joints are interesting on this kit because they have a mechanic where before taking them off, you have to turn them to a certain direction. I don't know if you can see that hole that well, but you have to line up the peg on the arm with the slot there. And then once you turn it, then it gets locked in and you can't take it out. At the bicep, we don't get that much rotation, but it still seems just about right compared to how an actual fighter would be. The elbow is double jointed, however, it looks like we do only get about 90 degrees of motion there. The wrist can turn a full 360 degrees, no problem, and I'll get to talking about these hands a little bit later. Moving on to the skirt armor, the front skirt armor goes up about maybe 80 degrees. The side skirt armor barely lifts up at all, but it looks like you can do a full 360-degree rotation on it if you're careful. And the back armor only goes up about this much. I don't know if you noticed here, but on the skirt armor, we do get this slotted part for the left side of the skirt armor. This is to hold the beam saber attachments. These simply slot in with this slot right here. Moving on to the legs, because of the front armor limitation, our legs are also limited to about that much. However, if you were to take the front skirt armor off, we can extend it to a full 90 degrees. Then at the knee, we do get a double jointed knee, almost a full bend backwards. The feet on this kit actually have a lot of articulation compared to most kits I've seen in the past. Right above the ankle, there's actually a joint that lets you swivel back and forth right there. Oh, it's pushing the armor apart a little bit. And on top of that joint, there is a ball joint that lets you swivel a little bit. So overall, the ankle actually has a lot of good forward and back motion. From side to side, we do get limitations from the ankle armor, well, more so from the lower part of the shin armor. And speaking of ankle armor, we can move this piece up and down just about this much. However, this front part does not move as much. The toe and the heel on this kit are very nice because with the toe, you do get a little bit of upward bend, a little bit of downward bend. However, with the heel, we do get a good amount of downward bend. So that lets you put it in some ballet type poses almost, with the toe pointed and the heel pointed. And to segue to my next point, the bottom of the feet have the same material as the hands. And that's the same rubber polycap type material that we're used to on other master grades. So with that, he's sort of wearing non-slip shoes. The polycap material grips the surface pretty well, like I can wiggle it and it doesn't really move around that much. Here we get to take a look at that faux inner frame that I've been mentioning. As you can see here, it has pretty much an entire skeleton, even underneath this chest armor here. Here's an example of one of the screws used to hold the joints together. And when you don't have the armor on it, it actually has a lot of flexibility. You can see that the leg went from only being able to go 90 degrees to being almost 180, probably about 160 right here. Obviously, we wouldn't see as much detail as we do see on master grades today, but even so, for 2002, this is not bad. So, as for extra parts, we do get these extra poly caps. We get 2 fists. These are made out of the polycap material, so they're a little bit flexible. We get 2 holding hands. These are actually 2 parts of the same polycap material that you put together, and once they're in the socket they get held together pretty nicely. We get 2 karate chop hands. These are also very flexible. And we get 2 glowing hands for the shining finger poses. This is a pretty nice neon green. Honestly, it looks pretty good on camera as much as it does in real life. I showed you guys that we have the mask. Here is an additional beam saber handle. I didn't clean this one up yet, so it still has the extra plastic on it. And here's what it looks like in the holding hands. It doesn't really have a strong grip on it. However, I think this handle is specifically meant for being used with 2 hands. Maybe, maybe not. And here is the foil sticker sheet. We have 2 stickers for the ankle armor, 2 stickers for the front skirt armor, a sticker for the eyes, and a sticker for the front camera. Here's the set of sticker decals that we get. Let me bring it in close for you guys to see that. And this is the sticker sheet for the chest jewel, which we already have on the kit. Some more extra parts we get are pretty interesting. These are for the V fin as well as the top fin. However, these are different because they are more rubber and super flexible. With that being said, it probably wouldn't be a great idea to paint them just because it'd be easier to crack. But I feel like Bandai included these as a safety protocol, kind of like the same way we see that extra nub on high grade V fins. Here are our beam saber parts. We have a short one and a slightly longer one, much like the handles. And we also get some extra screws and nuts just in case you lose them along the way. And most importantly, we get a Doman cash figure. This figure is a much bigger pilot figure than we've seen on other kits. I mean, here, even compared to the actual mobile suit, it's almost half the size. So with this figure, it's slightly rubberized, not really that flexible though, just enough to be a little grippy. And it comes in parts and you have to cut it out of the runner. As you can see, I didn't really clean it up that well yet. But the headband is actually its own separate part, as well as these 3 sensors on the suit. Now, with these 3 sensors, the only one that really stays in place is the one directly on the shoulders. These other 2 are pretty loose and fall out very easily, just like that. You'd probably be able to drill those holes out with a drill bit just to make it fit better, but unfortunately right now I don't have that sort of tool. Overall, I'm pretty satisfied for this kit. Honestly, you can find this for under $30 at most places, and for $30 I think it's a good look into what Bandai's master grades used to be like, but at the same time you're still getting a quality kit with good articulation, good posability. It's almost like an action figure of sorts. Even the design is pretty reminiscent of action figures, especially with the colorway, the posability. At a price coming in below what you'd find most real grades at, I think it's fine picking up this master grade. Not to mention you get the Doman cash figure. So that's it for the review, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys have thought about picking one up for yourself. Like I said, it's sub $30. It's not too expensive. Or if you stuck all the way through and you're watching this part, go ahead and make sure you're subscribed and comment below what you liked about this video. And I actually have an extra one of these kits that I'm able to give away. I mean, I don't need 2 of them, so I don't have that many subscribers now, so this might be your best chance at winning a free Gundam. I'll probably do the drawing in about 2 weeks, so stay tuned. I'll probably have posted 2 videos by then. Once I announce it, I'll get in contact with you and I'll get it shipped out. So anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed the review of the Master Grade Shining Gundam. Make sure you like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you're interested in more Gundam content, and as always, have a good one and start building.